Hello, and a very warm welcome to our peaceful corner of the internet. Thank you so much for carving out a little time to sit with us today.
Yes, a very warm, genuine welcome back to absolutely everyone listening. We know your days are incredibly busy, and your mind is probably full of a million different tasks and responsibilities. So we're truly grateful you decided to slow down, take a deep breath, and practice your English with us right now.
I am Emma.
And I am Henry. This is your safe, comfortable, and completely stress-free space to improve your English through real, honest conversations about daily life. And today, we are talking about some very big, very difficult feelings.
We really are. Whether you are walking your dog in the park right now, washing the dirty dishes in your kitchen, driving in heavy traffic, or maybe you're just hiding on the sofa from your daily responsibilities, it is completely okay. We see you, we understand you, and we are so happy you are here.
We absolutely see you and we welcome you. Before we dive into our main topic today, Emma, I have to ask you a question. How is your emotional weather today? Are you feeling sunny and calm, or is there a bit of a dark storm?
My emotional weather is actually very calm right now, Henry. I feel very peaceful sitting here with you. But yesterday afternoon, there was definitely a massive, loud thunderstorm in my mind.
Oh, really? What exactly happened yesterday to cause a thunderstorm?
Well, I was at the local supermarket, and it was a Saturday, so the parking lot was incredibly crowded. I was driving around for 10 minutes. Finally, I saw a beautiful empty parking space. I turned on my blinker to show everyone I was waiting for it, and suddenly another car zoomed past me, completely ignored my car, and stole the space right in front of my eyes.
Oh no, that is incredibly frustrating. The classic terrible parking lot theft. How did you react in that exact moment?
My immediate animal instinct was to honk my horn as loud as possible, roll down my car window, and yell something terrible at the other driver. My heart was beating so fast, my hands were gripping the steering wheel so tightly, and my face actually felt hot. My sudden, angry emotions were completely trying to hijack my rational brain.
To hijack, like a pirate illegally taking over a ship. That is a perfect, very visual way to describe it. So what did you do? Did you honk the horn and yell?
I did not. It was very difficult, but I took a massive, deep breath. I held the steering wheel and I just drove away to find another spot at the back of the parking lot. It took me a few minutes to physically calm down, but walking into the supermarket, I felt so incredibly proud of myself for not reacting to that person.
That is a wonderful, beautiful personal victory, and it is actually the exact perfect introduction to our main topic today. Today, we are talking about the incredible, life-changing power of not reacting.
The power of the pause. It sounds so simple when we say it out loud, but it's honestly one of the hardest psychological skills a human being can master in modern life.
It really is. When something frustrating, unfair, or stressful happens to us, our human biology wants us to react instantly. We want to yell, we want to passionately defend ourselves, or we want to send an angry text message immediately to prove that we are right.
We let our sudden, explosive emotions completely drive the car. And as we all know, when angry emotions are driving the car, they do not follow the speed limit, they do not look at the map, and they almost always crash the car into a brick wall.
Exactly. One tiny annoying event in the morning, like spilling coffee on your white shirt, or someone cutting you off in heavy traffic, can completely ruin your entire day if you react poorly to it. You carry that anger for 12 hours.
So, Henry, why do we do this? Why is it so incredibly hard to just stay quiet and breathe when someone disrespects us or makes us angry?
I think it is because our ancient brains confuse a bruised ego with actual physical danger. Thousands of years ago, if someone threatened us, we had to fight to survive. So today, when a stranger insults us or cuts us off in traffic, our brain thinks a wild tiger is attacking us in the jungle. It sends a rush of adrenaline through our body, demanding an immediate, aggressive counterattack.
That makes perfect sense biologically. We feel an overwhelming, desperate need to prove that we are right, or to quickly punish the other person for making us feel bad. But reacting instantly almost always makes the situation much, much worse.
It is exactly like throwing a bucket of gasoline onto a small fire. You think you are fixing the problem and gaining control, but you are actually just creating a massive, dangerous explosion. Let me share a personal story about a time I threw gasoline on a fire at work.
Oh, please do. We always love hearing about your past mistakes, Henry. It makes us feel better about ours.
Thank you, Emma. A few years ago, I received an email from a senior colleague. The tone of the email was very rude, very dismissive, and completely unfair. He publicly criticized the project I'd worked incredibly hard on for 3 months.
Oh, I know exactly how that feels. Your stomach drops and your face gets hot as you read those unfair words on the bright computer screen.
Yes, the invisible movie director in my head screamed, "You must defend your honor right now. Show him he is wrong." So, I immediately hit the reply button. My fingers were flying aggressively across the keyboard. I wrote a massive, angry, highly defensive paragraph, and I hit the send button within 2 minutes of reading his message.
Oh no, the instant emotional email reply. That is always a dangerous game. What was the final result of that email?
The result was an absolute professional disaster. The colleague immediately replied again, this time copying our manager. The argument lasted for 2 entire weeks. It completely ruined my sleep. It ruined my relaxing weekends, and it permanently destroyed our professional working relationship.
And all of that pain, stress, and lost sleep happened simply because you reacted in 2 minutes instead of taking a pause.
Exactly. If I had just closed my laptop, walked away to get a cup of tea, and waited until the next morning to reply, the entire situation would have been completely different. Which brings us to our very first practical tip for today.
I am ready. How do we practically stop the immediate explosive reaction?
Our very first tip is to implement the 24-hour rule, or if waiting 24 hours is impossible for your job, you must use the draft folder trick.
The draft folder trick. I actually use this one all the time now in my own life. Can you explain exactly how it works to our listeners?
Of course, when you receive an upsetting email or a very frustrating text message, you are absolutely allowed to write an angry reply. Go ahead, write all your true feelings. Be as angry and defensive as you want. But you must leave the email address completely blank.
Yes, that is the crucial step. Do not put their name in the address bar so you cannot accidentally hit send while you're emotional.
Exactly. You write the long message, you get all the emotional poison out of your brain and onto the screen, and then you save it in your draft folder. And you make a strict promise to yourself that you will not look at that message again for at least 24 hours.
And what usually happens when you finally open that draft folder the next day?
99% of the time, when you read that angry, emotional message the next morning, you feel completely embarrassed by it. Your intense emotions have cooled down. The fire is gone. You realize that sending that aggressive message would have been a terrible, permanent mistake. So you delete the draft completely and you write a calm, professional 2-sentence reply instead.
That is incredibly powerful. You give your slow, rational brain enough time to catch up with your fast, emotional brain. You build a safe buffer zone.
Exactly, a mental buffer zone. Now, what is our second practical tip for mastering the power of not reacting, Emma?
Our second tip is a beautiful visual metaphor. When you step out into the world every morning, you need to decide if you are going to be a thermometer or a thermostat.
A thermometer or a thermostat. I love this concept. They are both instruments that deal with temperature, but they do completely different jobs.
Yes, think about a standard, old-fashioned glass thermometer hanging outside a house. A thermometer has absolutely no control over its environment. If the sun comes out and the air gets hot, the red liquid inside the thermometer goes up. If the winter wind blows and it gets freezing cold, the thermometer drops immediately. It just helplessly reacts to whatever is happening around it.
So, metaphorically speaking, a thermometer person is someone who completely absorbs the chaotic energy of the room. If someone yells at them, they automatically yell back. If someone around them is anxious and panicked, they instantly become anxious and panicked too.
Exactly. They have no emotional protection. But a thermostat is completely different. A thermostat is the smart machine on the wall that actually controls the temperature of the entire house.
You set the thermostat to a comfortable, peaceful 20 degrees. If the room gets too hot, the thermostat kicks in, turns on the air conditioning, and cools it down. It actively dictates the environment. It does not just helplessly react to it.
That is a brilliant, empowering way to look at life. When you are standing in the supermarket parking lot and someone rudely steals your space, you have a clear choice. You can choose to be a thermometer, let their rude behavior make you furious and completely ruin your Saturday.
Or you can choose to be a thermostat. You can take a deep breath and say to yourself, "My internal temperature is calm and peaceful today. I am not going to let a rude stranger in a car change my internal temperature." You maintain your own emotional climate.
Choosing to be the active thermostat gives you an incredible amount of personal power and freedom. You finally realize that nobody can actually make you angry without your permission.
Let me repeat that slowly for our listeners because it is so important. Nobody can make you angry without your permission. You hold the keys to your own emotional house.
Which leads us perfectly into our third and final practical tip for today. It's a psychological trick called dropping the rope.
Dropping the rope. This sounds exactly like the children's game of tug of war.
It is exactly like a heavy game of tug of war in the mud. When someone is trying to argue with you, when they are insulting you, or trying desperately to prove you are wrong, they're essentially throwing you the end of a thick, heavy rope, and they want you to pull.
They want you to grab the rope, pull back as hard as you can, and start a long, exhausting, dramatic fight. They want the drama and the conflict.
Yes, and your natural biological instinct is to grab that rope and pull back to prove that you are stronger and smarter. But here's the magnificent, simple secret of the universe. You cannot have a game of tug of war if one person simply refuses to hold the rope. Wow. If you just open your hands, relax your shoulders, and let the heavy rope drop to the muddy ground, the game is instantly over. The other person falls backward because there is no resistance.
Exactly. When someone says something passive-aggressive to you at a family dinner, or a colleague tries to start an argument, just look at them calmly, smile slightly, and say, "Okay," and then take a sip of your water. You just dropped the rope.
It honestly drives negative people crazy when you refuse to fight them, but it protects your mental peace so beautifully. You do not have to attend every single argument you are invited to. You can just decline the invitation.
You really do not. Your mental energy is a precious, extremely limited resource. Do not waste it pulling on a muddy rope with someone who just wants to fight. Save your valuable energy for your big dreams, your family, your goals, and your English learning.
That is such a comforting and empowering message today, Henry. You can feel nervous and still speak. You can feel tired and still study for 10 minutes. You can feel hurt or insulted and still rise above it without reacting.
Exactly. You are completely in charge of your own responses. Now, before we finish our time together, let us slow down our pace even more and take our calm word tour.
This truly is my favorite part of the entire episode. This is the moment where we review some of the beautiful, useful, and slightly advanced vocabulary we used in today's chat. Just relax your shoulders, take a deep, slow breath, and let the English meanings settle deeply into your memory.
Our first word today is to hijack.
To hijack. This is a very strong, dramatic verb. Literally, to hijack means to illegally take control of an airplane or a vehicle by force. But metaphorically, which is how we use it in daily life, it means when a strong emotion, like sudden anger or panic, takes complete control of your brain and your actions.
For example, you could say, "I wanted to stay calm during the job interview, but my anxiety completely hijacked my brain." Or, "Do not let a stranger's bad mood hijack your entire afternoon." Hijack.
Our next highly useful phrase is buffer zone.
A buffer zone. A buffer is something physical that creates a protective space or distance between two things to prevent a dangerous crash or a fight. So a mental buffer zone is the extra time or space you deliberately create before you react to a stressful situation.
For instance, taking 3 deep breaths before answering the phone creates a necessary, peaceful buffer zone. Or waiting to send an email using the 24-hour rule is a great buffer zone for your career. Buffer zone.
Our third important concept is the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat.
Let's start with thermometer. A thermometer is an instrument that simply measures and helplessly reacts to the temperature of the room. It goes up and down depending on the weather outside.
And a thermostat is the smart machine on the wall that actively controls and sets the temperature of the room. It decides what the environment will be, regardless of the weather outside.
So, metaphorically speaking, a thermometer person constantly reacts to the drama and chaos around them, but a thermostat person stays completely calm and sets a peaceful, steady tone for everyone else in the room.
For example, the great company manager acted like a thermostat, keeping the entire team calm during the major crisis, instead of acting like a thermometer and panicking with them. Thermostat.
Next, we used the visual phrase to drop the rope.
To drop the rope, this is a wonderful visual metaphor based on the physical game of tug-of-war. To drop the rope means to actively refuse to participate in an argument, a fight, or a dramatic, toxic situation. You just open your hands and walk away.
For instance, when her brother tried to start their usual political argument at dinner, she simply dropped the rope and changed the subject. Or you will feel much happier when you learn how to drop the rope with toxic people at work. Drop the rope.
We also talked about the beautiful adjective, resilient.
Resilient. This is honestly one of the most beautiful and important words in the English language. If a person is resilient, they are able to quickly recover from difficult conditions, sadness, failure, or heavy stress. They bend like a flexible tree in the strong wind, but they do not break.
For example, young children are often incredibly resilient when moving to a new city and making new friends. Or, despite failing the difficult exam the first time, she remained resilient, did not cry, and studied harder for the next one. Resilient.
And finally, we used the phrasal verb to power through.
To power through. This means to continue doing something difficult, exhausting, or painful until it is completely finished, using all of your willpower and mental strength. You do not stop until the end.
For instance, I was incredibly tired after working a 10-hour shift, but I powered through my English homework anyway. Or, the runner felt physically sick, but she powered through the pain to finish the long marathon. Power through.
Wonderful. That concludes our Calm Word Tour for today. Please remember, you absolutely do not need to perfectly memorize all of these complex expressions right now.
Just choose one single word or phrase that connected with your heart or your personal struggles today, and try to use it in your mind or write it in a notebook this week.
And speaking of writing, we have a very small, friendly piece of homework for you tonight. Before you go to sleep, we want you to write one single sentence about your day using one of these new words.
Yes. For example, you could write, I wanted to yell in heavy traffic today, but I dropped the rope. Or, I felt emotionally exhausted this evening, but I was resilient and powered through my English practice.
It absolutely does not have to have perfect grammar. It just has to be real, honest, and yours. And if you feel brave today, we would absolutely love it if you shared your sentence in the YouTube comments below.
We genuinely read every single one of your comments. We see your progress, we read your life stories, and we celebrate your small wins with you. When you comment, it helps other language learners feel a little less alone in their journey.
Thank you so much for trusting us with your English education and also with your big, complicated feelings today. Remember, you are not too emotional. You are simply a human being, and you can still be strong, decisive, and relentlessly focused on your beautiful goals.
Take a massive, deep breath.
Relax your tired shoulders and give yourself a little credit for today. You showed up, you listened, you learned something new. That already means you are growing those invisible roots.
And we will be right here next time, ready to talk, laugh, and power through life with you in our quiet corner. I am Henry.
And I am Emma. Take very good care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.